would it be considered a doctored image if I photoshopped a medical license? Ready? Without any further ado, let's check that out. First, you'll need this file in Photoshop. Download the CCX file, double-click it and install it. You will make one adjustment if Stable Diffusion is already in operation. Then, locate your webuiuser.batch in your Stable Diffusion folder, drag it there or open it in Notepad, and add a set command line args with any other information you may have. A -- API will be added so that the plugin can connect to your Stable Diffusion. You can now use Stable Horde without any installation if you don't have Stable Diffusion. Ready to go deeper on the AI art prompt? Okay, let's go. Let's move forward and you'll discover how that functions. Now that Photoshop and other Photoshop have been opened, the Stable Diffusion plugin has been loaded. Let's talk about Stable Diffusion in Photoshop. If you can't see it, simply click the Auto Photoshop plugin in the plugins menu above. This is what we're dealing with. However, Online UI Automatic 1111, which is currently running in the background, and regular Stable Diffusions are connected to an API that is active. The prompts are available here. This is what you want because it is both a positive and a negative prompt. Therefore, the D-All style is available in free styles, and also available are text to picture, image to image, in paint and out paint. You also have the extension and control that we'll discuss, which has completely changed Stable Diffusion and gives you a complete control over the composition or pose in a picture. The community is leveraging its computing power to produce the visuals for you in this crowdsourced solution. You can choose a system or backend to create the photos. When no plugin is required, you can use native Horde or the extension for automatic 1111. We're going to make text to image in outpainting right now, and we actually have a canvas size that is larger than both Stable Diffusion and regular rendering. We can therefore outpaint a 512 by 512 because they are 4 times the size of it. The selection tool is then present and its fixed size is set at 512 by 512. This means that every time there is a click, a small box appears, and going forward, only this area will be filled as we create. Now, we're currently a cyberpunk city. Additionally, we have the CFG scale set to 7 and the width and height set to 512 by 512. Stay to the end to discover and understand more about the AI art prompt. Here, we're going to generate. The sampler is currently set to ULRA. So, this is our first, which is quite fantastic. We have 2 options. Either we keep it or we create more. And if we do, the renders that are currently in the viewer as well as that inside will be visible to us. In fact, you can create more images inside the viewer if you choose more. In order to save you from having to go back and forth constantly, let's choose this scenario with a woman walking here. After placing several cards on the side, we'll check this small checkbox to put our work into effect. We can now modify this to outpaint by taking this selection and shifting it a little. Now, Invoke's canvas is comparable to this. We're going to keep the cyberpunk city for the time being. When there is nothing here, if your mask content is not set to Latin noise, you will not receive any additional content. Nevertheless, if you are painting to nothingness, you will switch to Latin noise here. Therefore, we are creating the outpainting of our cyberpunk city. We'll be able to make some changes after this. We have nothing right now, therefore we must change our masks. Here, some white paint needs to be added. The good news is that we can actually address some of these issues now that we are in Photoshop. We may now repaint those and make some of those adjustments, but for the time being, we'll just leave that mending brush in place. However, as this is only a Photoshop tutorial for Stable Diffusion, you will have to create 2 for the time being. Anyhow, the image we have now is a little larger than the one we had before we started. For as long as you wish, you could continue outpainting like this. As we switch to inpainting, a new layer is added. White paint has been applied to hide this. Now, if you have an AI idea but having trouble to come with the ideal prompt to explain it, we'll choose the best prompt for you if you leave a comment below, and we'll review the results in our next video. Before we move further, if you are getting value, please subscribe and like this video because it will really help us grow. Also, be sure you have turned on the notification bell to be notified when we upload new videos. Now, as we continue, You can then choose to press the brush by right-clicking here and selecting change. You can make changes, or you can use the object selection tool by pressing W. If you tick the box sample all layers, choose the object here and then just fill white into your mask. This is what we have if you examine the mask here, and this is where you're going to choose. Cyberpunk woman is what we have. Here, we'll switch to the original. Previously, there was Latin noise, so this is the general material. You are changing that because we wish to make use of the scene's existing elements. We don't want to add a lot of new Latin noise. Then it will try to replicate it by replacing everything. We want to save things so we can use them later. The amount of denoising in this case determines how much the scene or image will change. It will change completely if you set this to 1, but it won't change at all if you set it to 0. When upscaling or upgrading an image, you can think of 0.4 as a good value, and when you want to start making more subtle adjustments, we'd recommend 0.6. We put this at 0.75 since we now want rather substantial changes, but they still want to maintain the image. So this ought to bring us a new woman standing in this identical place. Let's generate this now, and we actually received that. Then, we 200% zoomed in, making the image rather pixelated. For the sake of speed, we're working rather at a low resolution here. There's a little bit of edge visible, but you can modify the mask size by adjusting the mask expansion and mask blur parameters. We'll start by setting this. The good thing about this is that it's non-destructive. So let's find the image. This is the layer. Check to see if we can put it back in place. And there we are. After demonstrating text to image and painting, let me quickly demonstrate Control Net's power. Actually, we're just going to set up a brand new scenario over here and insert that image once more. So this woman is jumping over here, and here inside Control Net, you'll press enable. Now that we're in the RTX 3080, we don't need to run low VRAM. Make sure to verify that, because the weight indicated here determines how closely the image will be followed. Therefore, we'll modify this to read depth here and depth here. Returning to the text-to-picture function, we will transform this to a ballerina dancing and enlarge the image a little because it is 1024 by 1024 in size. There must be a Control Net image added. Therefore, we must click this tiny button labeled Set Control Net. After that, now that we have a depth map of this figure, we should use it to create the ballerina dancing. It resembles the original image closely. Additionally, you can choose how near you want it to be, which is amazing. But when Stable Diffusion images are this small, it happens quite frequently. Therefore, we'll just do the in-painting. Now, we will create the in-paint. Let's not forget that using a selection that is not square while painting might occasionally result in faults and errors, even if it may also work. Since this was a user error and control wasn't disabled, it is now acting just as it should. It is currently attempting to force Control Net into our mask. Therefore, that won't work because it will be disabled. So, we'll create one more again. You currently have this image, which is again non-destructive. This can be painted over with a mask. We don't think anyone will notice because the colors are so similar. Even the hair from the earlier image came back. Because Photoshop can be adjusted so precisely, we are knowledgeable about it and retouching in general. In Photoshop, text-to-picture, in-painting and out-painting were all examined in this example. AI Stable Diffusion is also a tutorial channel to help you in this new artificial way to work, to stay connected with your natural intelligence and use it to scale up yourself. The engineering that processes machine learning needs to start from natural learning data. For this reason, AI Stable Diffusion will radically change our approach to natural intelligence. This channel will teach you how to enhance your natural learning and put it at the service of automatic learning to gain an ethical and professional advantage. Welcome to AI Stable Diffusion. If you have gotten value, please subscribe and like this video because it will really help us grow. Also, be sure you have turned on the notification bell to be notified when we upload new videos. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.